Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Yes, Financial Insight is back again with another exciting interview. And this particular interview takes place at the tail end of 2025, where we're sitting down with one of Zambia's largest pension houses. Yes, Director Muyangwa Muyangwa of NAPSA is going to be on the show, and we're going to be having a very interesting conversation regarding the full year performance of NAPSA and much more. So stay tuned to this interview right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Financial Insight Show. As I had indicated in my intro remarks, we are sitting down with the Director General, our good friend, Mr. Muyangwa Muyangwa. Director General, welcome to the Financial Insight Show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's been a while since we last had you on the show. How have you been, and how is the pension house?
It has been a very busy 2025, but I think it's better busy than not busy. I think your pension house is in very good shape. There has been a lot of growth that we have recorded between 2024, or just starting from 2021 up to date, and we're feeling very encouraged, but yet we know there's more that we can still do.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Now, we touch on the subject of performance, how would you assess, from the executive chair, NAPSA's performance for 2025 in terms of its mandate, which you shared with us on our inaugural interview a while back, and to provide, retirement benefits to Zambian workers, and what are some of the key achievements and challenges faced by the institution?
I think in terms of our mandate, we've now got about 30,000 members that are drawing a retirement income monthly. On the opposite side of that is a membership of about 1.3 million people, or Zambians, which, like I said last time, gives us a very healthy ratio to work with, which we believe it's not going to last forever. We need to exploit it now. So from the benefit payout perspective, I think we are still a very young pension scheme if you look at the numbers of retirees, but that's bound to change. By the time we are getting to 2035, that number should have almost doubled. But the scheme will still be in a very good shape because the number of contributors, we expect a ratio. Right now we are running with a ratio of 43 contributors to one pensioner. We think that ratio will maintain that ratio for a while because of what we are doing on the other side of trying to bring in more new members. On the investment side, the portfolio, we've done quite a number of deals, if I may call them that, mostly in the energy space, where we have financed solar energy projects. We're standing at 2 so far this year, of course, with our SME funding platform, the JIPZ, and a few others that are in train that we believe that by the end of the year we would have concluded those deals. Just to continue the role that we have been talking about, that NAPSA plays another role in the economy of trying to support, to solve national issues as a way of supporting the economic transformation agenda. So it has been quite good. Our portfolio, I think the last time I spoke to you, we were talking about 95 billion. We are standing at 107 billion kwacha now. Before the end of the year, we're thinking by December, we might get to 108, 109 billion kwacha. In terms of dollars, we are at $4.7 billion. So we've seen quite some good growth, steady growth. But I think from our perspective, what's important is the fact that we're actually making NAPSA impactful in the economy by addressing some of the issues that are facing our country right now: energy, infrastructure. I'm sure you've driven to Ndola. Those who have had the opportunity, you've seen the progress that's happening on the road. In the Bamba energy, we've financed another Mamba. We are working on another coal-fired project that will bring in maybe about 300 megawatts, just to ensure that we have a stable energy base to support the growth that we are looking at in the economy. So it has been a good year. The challenge is we still can do better in terms of customer experience. I know we introduced a new system during the AI Care, which is more a self-service platform where we wanted to put everything that our members, employers and members have to try to interact with on a single platform. You can view from your dashboard, you can view where you stand as your savings that have accumulated over a period of time in your account, or any other issues if you're an employer that you need to address. But I think what still remains a challenge is the number of days that it takes for a claimant to get paid. But that's something we're working on. We have understood what is inhibiting us from getting good service to our members, and we are dealing with that. We have given ourselves up to 2028 to ensure that anyone who comes to NAPSA can get their claims in 0 days. We are calling it a 0 days target. So I think it has been quite a good 2025, busy but good.
Absolutely. You know, I must commend you, DG. The iCare system, I think in the middle part of the year, Financial Insight was obviously, tasked also to on board on it. And
Yes.
I must commend you that it is a seamless system. But I think more so is the people at NAPSA were so helpful, and I think I must have communicated, to you
Yes,
on that.
please.
So credit to you on that front. Now, moving along, you already touched on the active contributions for the year. Are you able to just share with us, where we're standing at the moment, but then also like what sort of growth rates you saw between 2024 and 2025?
So we're standing at about 1.3 million active members. The growth was about 8%, but I think that's not good enough, and we're looking at comparing that to the size of the population. As they say, social security is a right. Every Zambian should have a NAPSA account. I don't like calling it a social security account. We want to call it a NAPSA account. Every Zambian should have a NAPSA account. Now we've got 20 million Zambians. Some of those are kids. But who says a kid cannot have a social security account opened for them by their parents? So we are looking at the larger picture and say, right now, out of a population of 20 million, we have 3 million members. This is what we are able to do in terms of marshalling up savings. What would happen if we got to 5 million members? What would happen if we got half of the population as members of NAPSA? We think that the financial base will be much broader, and then we will be more impactful in addressing the issues of the challenges that the country is facing from a financial perspective. So yes, there's growth, but we want to tap into one area of the Zambian economy, what we call the informal sector. Mm-hmm. We don't want to call it the informal sector, but the self-employed Zambians, or those who make money but don't necessarily have an employment relationship with anyone. They too deserve to have an NAPSA account. So the reforms that we are looking at in terms of how we broaden the coverage is to be more inclusive and bring in even those that are called from the informal sector or those self-employed. So we are targeting, if we can cover by half of the population by 2028, that would have been very good progress. If we can get to above 70% of the population by 2032, that will be significant. Bearing in mind that we also have, as a result of some of the happenings in our economy, we expect the formal sector also to grow, where we have much more strength in terms of how to bring in members from the formal sector. What we are now focusing on more is how do we actually capture what the economists call the informal sector, and behind those numbers there are Zambians, and those Zambians deserve to have an NAPSA account.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, let's touch on investments, DG. You've already mentioned that there was some investments in the road infrastructure. Are you able to share with us what investments generally NAPSA was involved in 2025 to support government's infrastructure development initiatives, and what returns are expected from these investments?
So in terms of on the infrastructure side, if loosely we subdivide infrastructure into energy, roads. On the road side, we still we're still dispensing on the Ndola Lusaka. I think we're only about less than halfway through the 300 million commitment that we made. Most of it for 2025, the focus was on energy, where we've done two transactions, not as big as the other one, but all is part of solving the energy crisis. We have more than 15 active deals that we are pursuing right now for solar energy projects, dotted all over the country, and our target is by the end of the year we should have closed 5. There's still time. I know people are saying you've run out of time, but I think from the works that we've done, what is remaining can be covered in November and December. Apart from that, like I said, we also had the SME funding platform that we launched in collaboration with British International Investment and Swedfund. We are the three parties. NAPSA, of course, NAPSA representing the Zambian people, and the British government through BII and the Swedish government through the Swedfund, where we're looking at financing SMEs, ticket size between $50,000 to $5 million. It's not, does it solve our problems on SME financing? No, but it's a step in the right direction. So we are expected to do more on infrastructure in 2026, both energy and road transport infrastructure.
That's very interesting. Now, one of the areas that Financial Insight has observed that obviously governments are pushing quite a bit, listening to the Finance Minister, Dr. Situmika Msokotwane, is on the PPP issue. Is NAPSA considering participating in PPPs to support infrastructure development in Zambia? And if so, what sectors, if you might want to share with us?
I think basically we are open. Anything, in any sector where there have been PPP deals with government, we are ready to support that. So far, they have been mostly on the road infrastructure, which is in Ndola Lusaka. There are other concession agreements that we are for road infrastructure that we are looking at. It's a welcome move for us. I think it allows us to have an interaction with the private sector that we believe should be leading in the provision or in the projects that result in the provision of these public goods, given the limited fiscal space that the central government has. So for us, that's a very welcome way of solving or addressing two issues. One, the limitation on the fiscal space, and two, the fact that we need infrastructure and the private sector should play a part. So the PPPs for us are a very exciting move by government, and which will allow us to interact more with the private sector on financing of projects. It's you see more of that, especially in roads, but I'm expecting that it will open up even in the energy space, as we require more infrastructure to move the power that will be produced in this country.
Right. Now, you did indicate on some of the areas that you're targeting as potentials for increasing the number of contributors. Are there any specific strategy points that you can actually mention to us that the pension house will be using, particularly, especially in the informal sector, as well as young people, in terms of onboarding them?
Yes. So maybe let me backtrack first to talk about the returns. I realize I omitted to answer that one. The returns that we are getting on these projects are very good. Okay. I think there are very few people in Zambia who can tell you that they are getting 9% on $1 interest rate. If you put that money in a bank, most likely you get 2%. We are getting 9% on the investments, the minimum. That's a minimum that we have. We have actually much higher than 9%. Some of them have gone up to 9.5. I think we stretched one into 10. But we are very mindful, while as we celebrate the good returns that we are getting, we also don't want to affect the viability of the project by overcharging on the capital. The cost of capital we should make sure from a NAPSA perspective that it's supportive of the private sector to invest more in projects than to restrict their ability. If they don't make money, the projects won't be viable. So the cost of capital has to be reasonable. And that's what institutional investors are good at, providing cheaper cost of capital. That's where the NAPSAs, the workers' compensation, this group, that's where we come in to make sure that we can finance projects at a much more less costly manner. Now, in terms of what we are doing in the formal sector, I think that's one of our key competence area of how to get members from the formal sector. What is stemmed the informal sector is where we are developing more strategies. So you see in the new pension reforms that will be, we hope they will be approved by Parliament this year or early next year. One of the key issues is we are looking at how do we remove what is currently inhibiting people from saving more with NAPSA, which is our law all this time has always said you cannot save beyond X amount from your salary. So there is what is called the ceiling. So in the new laws, we are removing the ceiling. So if you want to save for your retirement and you're targeting that you want to get 10,000 kwacha a month, you can plan with us how much you need to save to get to 10,000. So we'll be running two pots. There will be the mandatory pot, which is what we have always been running since 2000. And then we are creating one which is called the supplementary savings pot, where even on the supplementary savings, to encourage people to come in, we'll still allow you to do a partial withdrawal. So it's that then looks at, one, giving people the flexibility to actually plan for their retirement by saving so much. But two, the supplementary savings then is our inroad into what is called the informal sector. The key is what kind of approach will you be using to actually attract the members to come in. So we want to move from a mandatory contribution to what we call passive contribution and contributions anywhere. So if I give an example, every time you buy your talk time, we would like you to save 1 kwacha. So if you subscribe, it becomes passive. You don't need to submit a return. Okay. It will be running in the background every time you make a purchase.
That's innovative.
Now, then what we do is we split that money into 2 pots. So we have one which you say, this is for your retirement, you access it at retirement. And then we have another one where you say you can access it anytime after a period of time. But you can continue saving on and on. So the issue is to move away from where we almost do the policing of submit a return to saying you have your account at NAPSA, which is meant for retirement, put in what you want to put in. At any time you feel like you have an excess to put in. But from the marshalling of savings perspective, that gives us much more financial muscle because then there will be more contributors. One, we are expecting that the big guys who earn a lot, then because we remove the ceiling, they will be able to come and say, I can actually put in 1,000 kwacha more a month in that pot. That also comes into the bigger pot of NAPSA. Then the new guys, the other guys that are not covered right now, or the other citizens, the members that are not covered, they also give an opportunity to say, I can passively run my account, maintain an account at NAPSA. What other stuff are we doing? We want people to be members at a young age. So we are engaging schools, universities. We have the university associations that are working with us on how we can recruit students into, before they get into the industry. They already have a social security number. So the idea really is to get a social security number to be a shadow of the NRC number. Basically, every Zambian should have, as long as you have an NRC, you automatically have an NAPSA account. When you trigger it, it's entirely up to you. You can trigger it before you get employed, any small amount that you make, because everyone is a consumer in Zambia. We consume something. So if you consume something, it means you have income. Share that income between expenditure and savings. And savings is NAPSA. We believe that we have the best savings account in the country based on what we pay you back on compared to the other savings account. So we want to get into that space where every Zambian has a retirement account.
Right. How important will technology be for you to achieve that?
Very key. We are talking about self-service, not where you need to come to talk to us to help you fill in a return. This should be something that is running in the background. It's almost like contribution by subscription. All of us who subscribe, we know that it auto-renews and all that. That's the kind of thinking. So we need to build platforms that allow Zambians to interact in that manner with NAPSA. So some of the key issues in there that are required, since everything is anchored on a national registration card, is what relationship we have with the National Registration Office on how we can actually make sure that the way you are identified by the country is how you are identified for NAPSA. And therefore, once you are identified that way, you can carry on with your transactions without much interference. We think that the current model of contributions has served its purpose. We need other more flexible models that are based on technology. So you see a lot of technological products or systems being launched from NAPSA. And to that effect, we have grown our IT department to significant sizes. Most of those are developers. The care system, for example, was developed in-house by these young guys. And when I say guys, it's boys and girls. We are the women in tech are also doing their part in NAPSA. We have, in the Innovation Hub, we have some ladies that are leading that process. So we're quite comfortable that we'll be able to provide the kind of platform that gives, one, you, the members, the confidence, and two, it improves your customer experience. You don't need to come to NAPSA to queue up. I must confess, every time I get to the office and I see a queue at our customer service, it reminds me that we still have failures. That is part of a failure for NAPSA that we need to iron out and make sure no Zambian has to come and queue for their money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, but I must ask one more question, DG.
Yes, please.
When we look at some of the plans that NAPSA has in terms of expanding its investment portfolio, are you able to share with us what some of those plans are? And also, you talked about how, it is attractive to improve, returns on investment. How do you ensure that this is sustainable over the long term? And also, is there private sector participation? Because I know we have had people requesting us to find out, does NAPSA also consider having other fund managers to come in to play in that arena?
Yes, let me start with the fund managers. We are not going to be selfish. It doesn't help. It's not beneficial for the economy. So whatever skill sets that we require, we shall get from the private sector to assist us grow the fund. I must announce here that we have already hired an investment advisor from the private sector to help us, one, develop a strategy of how we realize our target of growing the scheme to $10 billion by 2032. Now, in there, it requires, there will be a big chunk of that is domestic. But we might go offshore, depending on if the legislation allows us to do so. So the strategy really is, one, address national challenges, because if the Zambian economy grows, automatically NAPSA grows. We have a direct relationship between what happens in the economy and what happens in NAPSA. So if we can support the growth in the economy, it means we are basically backing up our own business model that is going to succeed. So that is a no-brainer for NAPSA. We just have to intervene in a manner that creates jobs, allows the economy to be vibrant, more jobs, more income. We are now moving away from just saying only job holders should be members of NAPSA, say everyone who has income is a member of NAPSA. So you can see from that perspective that a vibrant Zambian economy means a giant of NAPSA.
So that means GDP matters?
GDP matters to us. That is, when we hear this 6%, we wish we could actually do 10. And we feel that there's something that NAPSA can contribute to assist the economic transformation to hit 10 by investing, directing the savings from the Zambian people to invest in areas that actually regenerate a lot of economic growth and activity. The power situation, everyone will tell you, it has set us back. We could have been much far ahead even of the 6% that is projected if there was no drought and there was no power shortage. But we are where we are. We've learned our lessons. One thing I can safely assure you of is, given the little powers vested in NAPSA, the next drought is not going to surprise us. We shall make sure that we support the solutions to the energy mix. Because from us selfishly, it's how we support our business. If the Zambian economy is thriving, NAPSA grows. So there's a lot more, and from the investment side, we think we want to move away from passive investment to investments that are more impactful in addressing the national challenges. Remembering that actually the money that we use belongs to Zambian people. So the question we all ask ourselves at NAPSA is, so who are we helping if we are not getting their money to work for them? They are negatively impacted by the energy situation. Why would we stand aside and say, that's not our issue, when actually the owners of the money are the ones that are being impacted? Secondly, if the economy is not growing, where do we expect to make the returns from? Now, again, I go back to saying we recognize our role as a provider of cheap capital, and we are not going to change that. So whilst everyone else will be talking about maximizing on whatever returns, we think we should focus on ensuring that we have, yes, a return for the members, but this return also makes sure that their children's children will still find a NAPSA. It's going to go on forever until the Zambians themselves decide that maybe we don't like the name NAPSA anymore, we want a new name, that's fine. But the key issue is we want to lay a platform that ensures that every Zambian is secured from a social security perspective. That's all that whatever we are doing now is to lay that platform, and also maybe revisit the way people look at us, that we only pay benefits. But we can only pay benefits if we have invested wisely. And therefore, we also come in and say, let's intervene in the economy to sustain this. So we have things planned. I'm sure you have heard of the mining value addition proposal, where we say for a long time, Zambians have been crying out that we are not getting value from our natural resources. So NAPSA comes in and said, okay, give us proposals of how we can actually get value from our mineral wealth, and then we'll finance it, we'll get experts to run it, it will create jobs, and in the value chain of mineral from raw to finished products, the big chunk of the wealth is created at the other end where the finished products are. So we want to bring that finished products into Zambia, so that we become exporters of finished products. And there are lots more collaborative efforts that we are looking at with our colleagues at SSMIH, for example, who are the custodians of our representative on the mineral wealth. What can we do together in the gold sector, jewelry, emeralds? Of course, not forgetting the main guy themselves, which is copper. There's more that we can do. I think we have walked backwards from some time back when we had refineries in this country to where I think we are building nations somewhere by exporting our soil. We need to reverse that. And we feel NAPSA has a role to play in that. So the bigger the NAPSA, the more impactful the interventions will be, and the more successful the Zambian owners of NAPSA will be. But maybe to excite you a bit more, you talk about joint investment. So right now we realize that if you look at the ask of project financing and the capacity of NAPSA, we are way, way down. if we just insist on saying all the money should just be out of our size, we'll delay the progress. So we've gone out to look to partners and say, come and partner with us to invest in projects in Zambia. But we think we have even done one better, where we have said, okay, but why are we talking to foreigners? Why aren't we asking the Zambians themselves to come and partner with us? So we are creating a product called Zambia Kuchalo Wealth Fund, where you can bring your money, put it in that road, you get the same amount of return that NAPSA is getting. The only difference is it actually goes in your pocket.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's allowing Zambians to participate. We'll do the heavy lifting in making sure the project is viable, the collaterals are perfected, it's secure investment, and then we open it up to you and say, do you actually want to be part of this deal? Yes, how much are you bringing? $1 million? Yeah, you get exactly the same rate that NAPSA will get.
The diaspora will really be excited about this.
They are
this
very, they are buzzing with that. We have had a lot of engagements with them. But also, it's actually what it does even to the Zambia. Now, that, for it differently, it's not going to be restricted to individuals. Even companies can do that.
Okay.
So you can bring your money and co-invest with NAPSA. We are told that, I think from a central bank, that there's about $3 billion in dollar accounts in this country. I think NAPSA can do with that $3 billion. That $3 billion is ending at the maximum 2%. Just imagine wherever the Zambian is, what opportunity you are missing that NAPSA is telling you if you bring it to us, you get 9%. Where you are putting it, you are getting 2%. I know my colleagues in the banking sector won't like this, but hey, it's for the sake of the country. Can we bring the money where it's needed, invest it, create millionaires out of Zambians by getting the same return that NAPSA is getting, and hopefully they'll bring it back again and we create even a bigger impactful ecosystem where Zambians are actually investing in Zambia. So the diaspora is very excited, but we would like to excite the people at home as well to make sure that they bring their money and co-invest with NAPSA basically as co-investors, not as members. As members, we are doing that job for you. But now as an investor, say, I like your project, I have $1 million, or I have $100,000, I have $1,000, I have $50, I have anything. I also want 9% on my dollar. We invest it for you. So that one will run it separately from the main scheme because of the nature of one regulation that will arise from that. But we believe that is going to transform the country and NAPSA. When you add the supplementary savings, I think the future looks very Zambian.
Absolutely. DG, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
So you've heard it for yourself. We have been speaking to the Director General at NAPSA. So stay tuned for more insights as we continue to cover NAPSA and all other developmental aspects in the Zambian economy. I've been your host, Mwelwa Chibesakunda, and as we always say at Financial Insight, get to know.